We're going to kind of have a little brief video to kind of set the stage. You can start writing if you want. A couple of pieces of information that Bread for the World has information on your tables. I also have some more information if you want some facts to put in your letters. I've got some of those for every table. A good example of which could be like connecting undernutrition to pregnancy. So if women's health is an issue you care about, you can connect it to that piece as well. Not just like support hunger, but fighting hunger helps maternal health, or for example, to what humanitarian relief can do for foreign countries as well. So there's a couple of pages here that we'll pass out to share. On your table, you have a couple of writing options. You can write whatever you would like, ultimately. We encourage you to write a letter to both Senators Johnson and Baldwin, and then to whomever your elected representative is. Most St. Matthewites are Sensenbrenners, but you may be a Gwen Moore, or you may also be a Paul Ryan, depending on where you live in our neighborhood. A couple of other pieces. We do have labels for our state assembly persons and state senator here in Wauwatosa. So if you're in Dale Cayuga, or Representative Hutton, or Representative Sanfilippo in the assembly, or Senator Vukmir is all of us for the most part. Given her run for governor, you can address that piece too. Or not for governor, for U.S. Senate, I'm sorry.
And what about our senators?
There are our senators, there are labels over somewhere. Oh, I have them right here. So you can stick their address labels on.
Nice.
And essentially we also have cardstock if you want to write to any of our a few college students, any homebound members, or this year we're also inviting you to write a blind letter to someone who's incarcerated, a letter of support, a letter sharing our concerns, our prayers, and then we'll pass those out through our partners.
So would that, for an incarcerated person, would we put in an envelope? Or?
Yeah, just put it in an envelope, and then if you kind of keep it separate, we'll kind of figure out that if there's an envelope without an address.
Okay.
Or if you want to put it on the back of the envelope, that will help us too. But our partners at Cross and Reformation have suggested that's a way to get together with some of their community members. There's a list at Reformation of at least 10 or 15 people who are either members or family members of people in the church who are incarcerated, that they pray for every week, so there's opportunities for that as well.
And we could include our name and address so that they might write back?
You can do that, yep, absolutely. On the little black boards there are sample letters, both the Bread for the World sample letter for the offering of letters this year. On the back side is a letter that the ELCA Advocacy Office has put out about hurricane relief. I don't know if you noticed, but Representative Sensenbrenner voted against the hurricane relief for Puerto Rico this week. So you can.
Johnson as well.
He was among 49 representatives to vote against it, and so that's something you can add to your letter if you so desire. But again, it's really up to you what you write and how you write it. But to say, I'm a Christian, I care about hunger, and you're my elected representative, or whatever the issues are, that's great. We'll mail them for you and go from there. But we have a brief, like 3.5-minute video that kind of shares what the Bread for the World mission is, as well as the information on your table as well. And if you have any questions, we'll be around as you're floating. So happy writing, and we'll watch this brief video, and then we'll get to it.
I wrote hurricane relief for to Senator Johnson. But I'll do another one to Sensenbrenner, but meanwhile, I wrote an incarcerated letter of
Ending hunger is a scriptural mandate. It's a moral imperative.
If we're not the moral compass or the moral voice of the United States, then somebody else will be.
Wouldn't it be great to say that this was the century when hunger was ended?
The availability of food is there. It's a question of having the determination to feed our brothers and sisters, to overcome the suffering that is not justified.
This unjustified suffering is all too real. For some, the lack of good nutrition means the difference between life and death. Hope, a small farmer in Zambia, now has 3 healthy young children thanks to U.S. investments in reducing maternal and child deaths due to malnutrition. We're getting smarter and more effective with every tax dollar invested in ending hunger and poverty in our country and abroad. Global poverty and hunger have been cut by half. Millions of people are no longer poor or hungry. We're seeing the results of our advocacy work. Our government is taking action. With the help of U.S. development investments, a Filipino farmer, Mercedita Cubar, is able to adapt to climate change, which is a growing threat to her crops.
We saw that if we embrace the project, we will never lose. We will be at a great advantage.
She's going on to teach climate field schools, equipping her fellow farmers with the same knowledge and training she's gained. And safety net programs here in the U.S. have helped put food on the table for Barbie and her children.
There were times where I had to send my kids to bed because I didn't have enough food for them to eat.
It's also given them a fighting chance at getting ahead. Her children can now focus a little more on their schoolwork and a little less on where their next meal is coming from. This progress has been hard fought and we've had setbacks, but if we continue our progress at this rate, it may be possible we can end hunger by 2030.
Not only do I believe that we can end hunger and homelessness and poverty, I know that we can. They did it in the early church.
It's critical that we help our leaders decide how we spend our tax dollars. The progress made by small farmers like Mercedita and the lives changed like Hope and Barbie's children are just a few examples of smart investments that will make this world a better place. Yet these life-saving programs are under threat with sweeping changes as Congress negotiates our next federal budget. Investments in programs that have helped Hope, Mercedita, and Barbie could be drastically cut. Our federal budget is a moral document that expresses how we care for working families and people who are experiencing poverty and hunger. Now is the time to take action. Every letter, every personal email, every phone call, every visit to your member of Congress will help end hunger by 2030. By working together, churches, charities, businesses, and the government can end hunger.
All right. Happy writing. If you have questions, a couple of reminders that if you're interested in the spring and then possibly again through the summer, we'll have opportunities for advocacy through our efforts in Madison, through the Interfaith Conference and through MICA. And also, our youth will head to DC this summer for the mission trip. So they'll likely, hopefully, have an opportunity to meet with at least some of our elected officials, or at least learn a little bit more about what the ELCA advocacy is doing there as well. So if you have more interest, if you don't yet belong, you can get email alerts from ELCA advocacy that tell you when to send an email or write a postcard or call. And it's easy to sign up, so if you want to do that, let me know and I'll make sure your email gets on that list so that you get an alert every time there's an issue of hunger. And the ELCA has certain justice issues that it does as well. So please let me know if you're interested in being added to that list. I know we have a number of people that are on it already. So if you have other questions, let me know. I'm going to go take off my robes, but then...
there are also envelopes here for joining Bread for the World, which is important.
Yes. If you want to join Bread for the World, I'll put on the 1 minute little, here's what Bread for the World is. Part of Rick Steves, the PBS host, this is his #1 cause. And so this year, as part of his advocacy, he gave, I think it was a $250,000 gift to Bread for the World that matched the proceeds from one of his programs. So if you like Rick Steves, he's good at this. This is one of his primary organizations as well. And so here's another little minute about what Bread for the World is doing. Again, there's kind of membership. You can give them your info and you'll get updates from them as well. Thanks, everybody. Happy writing.